Welcome to Moto Mouths, the podcast for MotoGP, motorsports, and more. I'm your host, Zoe, and the vibes this weekend were cursed across the board.
I'm your other host, also named Zoe, and yeah, it was bad. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was bad.
It was rancid.
It was rough. Like, I think before anything else we can say that it was rough.
Yeah. Not to talk about Jorge Martin for 2 minutes at the top of the pod every pod, but fuck Jorge Martin?
Go on.
It seems like this is a major takeaway from the weekend in Silverstone, which we'll get into in a minute, but the Aprilia team bosses kind of one message after this weekend was, fuck you, Jorge Martin.
I don't know if I would go that far. I think there's a lot of context that needs to be like taken into account when we talk about Silverstone MotoGP events. In all honesty, I think the takeaway for Jorge Martin is, hey dude, move in silence.
Move in silence. Exactly what we were saying.
We've said before, I think everybody's said before. I think it's more of it was a really unfortunate time for him to open his mouth, is essentially what I think happened.
Yeah, I think that, like we said last week, like I said, you showed your hand way too soon.
Here's the thing, and we'll get into this, but I'm not convinced he's necessarily wrong if the issue is that he doesn't feel confident in Aprilia's longevity. I'm not convinced he's wrong. I think we'll talk about this later. I think we'll get into this.
So shall we get into it?
Let's get into Silverstone. Yes, I agree.
The Silverstone of it all. Let's get into the Silverstone of it all. Wild weekend.
Yeah. Again, truly the trend of the weekend, just everything was happening so much all the time, everywhere.
Everything was happening so much.
And listen, I will be the first person to admit that, I think last week we were talking about it and I was kind of shitting on Silverstone because to me, it's it feels like, The Walking Dead in the sense that this is an insanely poorly attended race. Just for a country that low-key invented the modern era of motorsport racing, y'all don't like MotoGP in the UK. I don't really get it. But I will kind of eat my words on that because we always get something crazy at Silverstone, and I did forget about that. I forgot about that, and that's on me. That's on me.
And something crazy we got.
I would say a series of crazy things happened. With the sprint, especially just qualifying in general, started to really set in for me that something is wrong in the house of Ducati when they go to Silverstone.
Got it.
Something is wrong. And I also think we're all really waking up to Pecco's imitation of a canary in a coal mine. He truly has been talking about the issues that Ducati has had all year.
Okay, yeah.
Including me, haven't really taken him super seriously because Pecco loves to complain. He loves complaining.
He's the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah. And you've also got Marc, who I don't think you can really take anything he says completely seriously, but Marc is clearly riding the fuck out of that bike.
He loves to lie.
Right. But if it was truly that bad, even Marc couldn't make an insanely bad bike look great. And Fabio Di Giannantonio is also on the factory bike saying, this bike fucks. I love this bike. It's great. The issue therein is that it seems that Pecco's right, which again, that's on us, that's on me. But Marc and Fabio jumped 2 years. They had never been on the 2024 Desmosedici, which is widely regarded as one of the best bikes in motorsport history.
Right.
So,
as you say every time you say the word Desmosedici 2024.
Yeah, the 2025 that is actually the 2024.5 is going to seem like it's really great to them. So all of that to say, the sprint, I think, is when it really started kicking in for me that Ducati has a real problem, and they have a real problem at a track that they apparently don't really like. Which was great because then Alex won a sprint. That was great. That was very exciting for him.
That was a lot of fun.
That.
We love that.
Always fun. We're Alex adorers here. It was also really funny. I don't know if you saw the MotoGP unheard or whatever, when they take the cool down car after the sprints.
Oh, right. It's their cool down car instead of the room. Yeah.
Right. And they translate it.
What happened this week?
Oh, it was iconic. Marc and Alex do not give a fuck about Fabio Di Giannantonio. They stonewalled the fuck out of that guy. They were not engaging.
They're so mean girl coded.
But here's the thing. I was thinking that. I was like, wow, like they are truly Regina Georging it up. Like, what happened? What happened? And I totally forgot that Fabio Di Giannantonio apparently 6-ish months ago said that Alex is a dangerous rider and that everybody should be scared of him. And yeah, I guess I took that personally.
Yeah, I would, especially coming from noted wheelie enjoyer Fabio Di Giannantonio.
Noted wheelie-prone crashing injured person,
Fabio
Fabio
Di
Di
Giannantonio.
Giannantonio. Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
Because he's just like trying to talk to them and they're like not having it.
No.
And then the second Alex starts talking to Mark, they're like laughing, giggling, like having a great time. They're like, guys.
I love it. I love it when they're mean.
I do too. The one thing that I think was really fun is that Fabio Quartararo, my preferred Fabio,
The
got
Fabio
pulled.
of choice. Again.
Yeah, third time in a row.
Woo. Not only was it his third pull in a row, it was his third record-breaking pull in a row.
Yes. Yes.
Which is even more apeshit.
Yes. I truly, ever since you said you've never seen Jorge Martin race, I cannot stop
Which
thinking
I
about
haven't.
that.
I haven't. It
I
still
was like,
haven't.
No, you still haven't. And like, I just truly think it's so fucking funny. And I was like, wow. Anyways, I think about it all the time. And I was like, I've never seen Fabio Quartararo like actually race like up to his potential. And like, newsflash, he's great.
He's pretty good at it. Yeah.
Like, super talented.
Wow.
If only the bike could live up to his quality pace. Yeah, just like crazy. Should we talk about the Sunday events at Silverstone with MotoGP?
Yeah, we should. Lap 1, crazy start already.
Crazy stuff. Okay, so Alex obviously won the sprint. He also during quali just like kind of showed up maybe the last couple of minutes and was like, here's a sick lap. You're welcome. Yeah. So he, as we've discussed, I think we talked about it last week, Alex did like Silverstone. He does well here. So he was essentially really prepped to kind of just like go for it before turn 1 once the actual GP started. Problem is Silverstone is very, very cold. They all were like really bundled up on the grid. It was really funny. I don't know if you saw Pedro Costa like bundled up.
Little Michelin men.
Truly. Very cold. Silverstone is also incredibly windy because it is very, very flat and is unprotected by any sort of like geography or like structures around the circuit.
Didn't it used to be an airfield?
Maybe. I actually would buy that.
I feel like that's true. It's either that or it was Brands Hatch that was an airfield and I can't remember.
I buy it. So crazy flat. The wind is coming
It's
harder
fucking
than
windy.
it normally does. It's fucking windy. Windy. So all of these factors combine to make kind of a frightening series of events that could potentially happen, which then ended up happening.
Did happen. Yeah, did it happen.
Essentially, all of the temperature and all of that stuff means it's very, very important to warm up your tires as quickly as possible, but as safely as possible. Alex Marquez, who I have been lauding as Mr. Consistency, suddenly lost every sort of patience he's ever had in his entire life. And when the lights went out, just had a great getaway and then immediately lost the front of the bike.
He went, and he just slid like he was on a slip and slide.
Well, and I was watching a replay like during the coverage and he wheelied like 3 times on his breakaway from the grid.
Who are you, Fabio Di Giannantonio?
Literally. Nothing crazy, but like he was on the throttle so hard that the front of his bike picked up multiple times. And I was like, yeah, of course you lose the front. When you're in Silverstone, you haven't even hit turn 1. It's cold and windy. Beloved. So he crashes out. Mark has a great start as well. And within 2 laps, also shits the bed.
I want to talk about this Mark crash.
Please do.
First of all, they have these little gymnastics mat barriers set up.
Yes.
And he just kind of horse plinkos his way through them.
Those aren't common. Like those typically aren't at every single track.
Which I thought was very funny to see them. And I thought it was so funny to see him go like, boink, 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 boink. The second thing I want to talk about is the commentary. The one British guy, he goes, crikey! Marc Marquez has crashed out. Can you believe what you're seeing? Girl, yes. I can believe that I'm seeing Marc Marquez crash out of the lead. That's not an uncommon situation.
Yeah. 3 times in 7 Sundays. My goat, I fear, may be washed. No, he's not.
He's not. But that I thought was particularly hilarious. I was like, girl, yeah, I can believe what I'm seeing.
I watch motorsport.
Yeah, like I've seen him race before.
Shocking. Yeah, Marc Marquez crashing out Fork Fountain Kitchen. Sorry, it sucks. I hate it, but that's been the truth since he started racing professionally. I can't believe it.
I am believing what I'm seeing.
It is also really funny because after the race, he told everybody and their brother that a gust of wind hit him really hard, and that's why he crashed out.
What is he, like a little fairy? Is he Thumbelina?
He's so skinny and he's so small that a gust of wind just knocked him over.
And he still wears children's clothing.
Justice for tiny community.
He still has to wear his children's clothing, and he's so tiny that he has to drink his soup out of a thimble. He cook an egg with a spoon.
So crazy you brought that up because he and Alex did an interview with a British reporter named Susie, who I don't know, but apparently people love. And she showed like a bunch of pictures and videos from when they were kids. And when Mark was 15, he looked like he was 10, maybe.
Yeah.
He actually looked like he was 8. But when he was a kid, his mom would have him drink like liters of milk and fruit juice every day. Not combined.
Not combined. I didn't think they were. I'm not a psychopath. I did not think they were.
Okay, but the way Mark says it makes you think it's combined. I'm just saying. Because a doctor told his mom that he would get taller, like, if he did that. Meanwhile, Alex is, like, 12 and, like, 8 feet tall. Yeah, he told everybody a gust of wind came in and just knocked him over because he is just so teeny tiny. And then he rode a little leaf umbrella all the way to safety, and he landed on top of a flower. Exactly. Even though within 0.2 seconds, 18 other people rode through the same corner and were hit by that gust of wind.
But they're not as teeny tiny.
They don't have tiny grabbable waists like Mark does. Duh.
They don't wear a toddler size 4 shoe.
Right. It was a classic Marc Marquez crash. He was being stupid. He lied about the reason. And it was funny because Mark never lets go of the handlebars when he crashes if he's able to hold on to them, which is not what you're supposed to do.
That seems counterintuitive.
Like, famously, Daniel Ricciardo broke his hand because he kept his hands on the steering wheel to avoid hitting Oscar Piastri and crushing him like a bug. And because he was holding onto the steering wheel,
he broke his hand.
Broke bones, which is why, like in F1, you don't do that. But he essentially rode the bike as he slid out. He stayed on the bike, like truly stayed on the bike.
That's why it was so funny to see him horseplinko through those barriers.
And you can see him see the barriers and then go, whoop, and like protect his head.
They're like foam.
I mean, if you're coming in at a fast speed, like even foam is like, oh yeah.
You know what that makes me think of? The Mark Webber Top Gear interview came across my screen, and they were talking about like the times that he like flipped his car through the air, plural, multiple times.
I don't think I've seen this interview. I'm excited.
It's this picture of him when he was still doing WEC, and he's like, this is like the late 90s, and he's flying through the air. And Jeremy Clarkson asks, now, in that moment, are you still pressing the brake pedal?
That's such a good question.
And Mark Webber goes, yeah, I think the brake lights would be on. Yeah. Which is so funny because he's like, yeah, why wouldn't you be furiously pressing the brake pedal as you're flying midair? But that's to me what I think it's like, is that Mark thinks he's somehow going to save this.
Oh, always. Because I don't think Mark ever, I'm just going to psychoanalyze him again because I do this all the time and you're going to cut it from the episode because that's just what we have to do for timing. But yeah, Mark truly.
Many hours later.
So Mark is having his like extended kind of like slide
crash out
into the barriers. Alessia Spargaro and Frankie Morbidelli essentially continue their blood feud. And they have had beef since Frankie Morbidelli was like a little baby starting in MotoGP. And like, listen, I love Frankie. I will follow him to the ends of the earth. Frankie is not like a uncontroversial competitor in MotoGP. Like, a lot of people don't really like him, especially his peers on the grid, because he kind of doesn't really give a fuck in a bad way. Anyways, Aleix loses, I think, the front, crashes Frankie out. Mark crashes out over here, and they realize as they're dealing with Aleix and Frankie's crash that Frankie's bike has been leaking oil onto the track.
Oh, well, die.
Which is an immediate cause for a red flag.
A red flag, yeah.
This is not F1 where it's like, okay, guys, like virtual safety car, like just hang on and like get off the racing line and like whatever. This is like this kills people. This can very well kill
red
people.
flag that shit. Yeah. And poor Mark, he's so teeny tiny that they're going to have to wash him off with Dawn dish soap if he gets, covered in oil.
Cupped in someone's hands like a little baby duckling.
With a toothbrush.
Exactly. Dawn, sponsor him. And so you can kind of see it in like the background of Mark's footage from the back of his bike. You can see the flags turn from green to red. So essentially what that means is they've red flagged the race. Everybody who is quote unquote able, they're completely restarting the race from original grid positions. If this sounds familiar, it should, because we just did this in Le Mans. So basically everything, like all of the nonsense that has happened in the last 3 laps is essentially null and void as long as everybody who crashed can get back on a fresh bike.
And they can.
And they can. They all come back and it's kind of insane. But they essentially start exactly from the beginning. And crazy things happen. Fabio just fucks off, takes that Yamaha and runs with it.
He was running with it.
Fabio pretty quickly puts like 6 seconds on everybody, which is insane. And keeps that gap for a very long time until suddenly Fabio is sitting up in the racing line.
Raises his hand.
He says, "Teacher, I have to leave.
I have a problem. I have to go to the bathroom."
And okay, like Silverstone, I think is so interesting for 2025 because it is truly exposing, I think, a lot of the things that MotoGP is struggling with. We have the tire issues, the Ducatis like kind of naked giving a presentation, like everybody's seeing the shit that's wrong with you.
Pecco literally fell to his knees in agony after he crashed out.
Yes. And then we have the whole shot device completely fuck over Fabio Quartararo in a way that like you could not write because it would be so on the nose. And it's nothing he could have done. There's nothing anyone could have done about that. Sometimes things just fail.
And he was crashing out over it.
Yeah, I would too.
I think after the race, Matt Oxley tweeted like, "Oh, he's laughing about it." And then he's like, "No, he started crying again."
Yeah, like 2 seconds after that. Because like, what do? You're winning a race by almost 6 seconds, your first race in years. And your bike says, "Hold up, I actually don't want to do this.
I'm tired. This is boring.
We've worked so hard. Can we just be done?" That's literally what his Yamaha said. Really fucking sad. Just really sad. However, this did elevate Marco Bezzecchi to P1.
This was so fucking wild, dude.
I was thinking of you because you a couple of races ago were like, "I think Marco Bezzecchi is going to do it." And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was like, man, the 1 week I don't say like Bez is going to do it. He does it.
I've said this, but like Bez is really like a confidence rider. This is apparent the longer and longer you watch him. And by longer, I mean like 20 minutes. And you're like, oh, like when he's sad, he can't do shit. Which like, worm, me too.
When he gets his hot girl haircut. And
he showed up with a mullet.
Feeling himself. All of a sudden, he can do it.
All the comms were like sad about it.
Why? I think it looks really good.
Because when Marco Bezzecchi is like doing well and like people are actually watching him and like he's part of stuff at the front, I cannot convey to you how much comms loves him and like has a crush on him. Like they're like, he's just really cool. And like he's got that rock star vibe. And he's got the curls and he's got the earrings and he's got the like, you talk to him and you're like, he's it. Like he's a rock star. And you're like, him?
With the Rubik's
Cube? Sad little boy?
With the Rubik's Cube?
Yes.
And the nose patch?
Marco once dedicated a podium to his dog.
Also named Rubik?
Like that's the bad boy y'all are in love with. So
with his Jimmy Neutron haircut?
Yeah. So like people were kind of like, oh no. All the comms were like, so he's got his new mullet and I'm sure it's great.
If he's happy, we're happy.
If he likes it, we like it. And you're like, okay. Are you going to talk about quali maybe? No. But he's such a character. And I think like, yeah, this is why like people do really like him.
I like the hair. I think it looks good.
You and I are mullet. We're pro mullet.
We are pro mullet. It's because we like hockey.
This is true. This is very true. God, that was such a read.
Anyway, from the South. From the South, when we like hockey,
it gets
we're mullet
worse.
prone.
It gets worse.
Put a fish in his hands.
I just shuddered. I think it was just really lovely to see. And he's had good pace like all season. Yeah. It just like hasn't come together for him at all. And actually he's crashed a lot. So it was just really nice to see.
He did the goofiest fucking dance to celebrate.
What do you even call that? Like
the Just Dance Rah Rah Rasputin dance.
Oh my God.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it was. I also feel like you could like copy and paste that somewhere in the Nutcracker.
A Barbie Nutcracker.
Yeah. Or do you think that was the thing the guys in Mamma Mia do down the pier, but like backwards?
Yes, that too. Okay, it's those three things combined.
Yeah, crazy. I genuinely was like emotional. I like really truly was. I think it was so lovely.
You were emotional over a MotoGP win?
Okay, listen, leave me alone.
This podium I thought was really fun because Marc Marquez, who's still leading the championship, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's now like 40 points ahead of his brother, who is the next closest competitor.
Had a hot girl crash out on the podium.
Oh, Marc was furious.
He was beating up the inflatable Prosecco bottles.
He had a hot girl crash out in Parc Ferme, even before this. He was not having a good one.
The number of hot girl crash outs we got in this weekend in motorsport was beautiful.
Okay, yeah, so we're up to a count of like
we've
Frankie
got
and Aleix.
Yeah, Pecco falling to his knees.
Fabio falling to his knees like 7 times.
Hot girl crash out central.
Yeah.
And Marc. So what's that, like 5 from MotoGP alone.
5 from MotoGP alone. Running tally. Keep an ear out. Yeah, in Parc Ferme, they like asked, how was the race? And Marc was fucking mad. He was so mad.
Bro, you came third.
He was like, the only thing I can say is that I was lucky. Angriest face you've ever seen on a man. Like,
okay. He's so dramatic.
So pissed. And I was like,
he's
okay.
so dramatic.
And then I think he got in the cool down room and he was like, get your shit together, King. And then he had his crash out on the podium.
Is Marc Marquez the first male to experience hysteria?
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think it's a very solid hypothesis.
He needs to be sent to the seaside for his health.
I really think he needs to like sit on a cold beach and watch the ocean.
And with his watercolors.
And like die of consumption. I think that would be really good for him.
I agree.
Beth from Little Women his ass.
I sentence you to Beth from Little Women.
Love and blessings and light and peace go with you. It was also really funny because he and Frankie like had a fight to the finish for P3, which is hysterical because it was Bez P1, Johan Zarco P2. Of course, we're forgetting Johan Zarco.
We forgot him again. We forgot about him again. My God.
Hot French old man. Like,
sorry.
Just clocking in. Love that for him.
Another great weekend.
Yeah, Johan P2, Marc P3, Frankie P4, Alex P5. Marc, Frankie, and Alex should never have finished that race.
No.
The last lap battle between Frankie and Marc is actually some really great racing. And I think is so funny because it truly is, Marc was like trying to settle, trying to like calm down and just secure points for the championship because he's focused. And Frankie was like, fuck you.
And the horse you rode in on.
Just like a crazy, crazy, crazy day. And then here is kind of what we alluded to earlier. Massimo Rivola, who is the team boss of Aprilia, the second that Bez crossed the finish line, they had a microphone in Massimo's face and they were like, what do you have to say to Jorge Martin in this moment?
Leading the witness, first of all.
Objection. And Massimo goes, this is a message for Jorge.
This is slam poetry.
And he goes, our bike can win. And then he fucked off to go drink some champagne in the celebration. And it was so funny because in the actual recording of the interview, he was like, this is a message for Jorge. Our bike can win.
Yeah, it was super peppy, but it sounded so evil.
Sounded so evil. So all the title cards that had the quote were ominous.
I thought it was pretty ominous. Wild.
Yeah, it was nuts. Speaking of strange comments, in Parc Ferme, Bez said, thank you to my real friends who have stuck with me.
Multiple times. Multiple times he thanked his real friends. What is going on?
I don't know, but I want to know so badly.
Did Frankie tell you not to cut your bangs and then you did? And he was like, I don't think they look good. And now you're really pissy about it?
Who the fuck knows? Truly, who the fuck knows? Bez basically took a year and a half off from slaying and then showed back up and was like, thank you to my real friends. Fuck everybody else.
with his new haircut. And that's just part one of the weekend.
Yeah. Oh my God. We have so much other shit to talk about. But we do have a week break from MotoGP because I don't know if I can handle another Le Mans or Silverstone right now.
So showing it is the great wide world of motorsport.
Yes. Let's talk Monaco.
All right. I just want to start by saying
horrible vibes.
Honk.
I wanted to nap the whole time, but I was like, I can't.
The edging.
That's exactly what it was.
It was like something could happen because of the 2 mandatory pit stops. Something could happen. Don't turn off your TV. Something could happen. Something could happen. And guess what? Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. This whole weekend sucked. Let's do our predictions really quick. You said Max P1, Oscar P2, correct? Oh no, he was P3. Never mind.
It was off a little bit.
Charles P3, Fail King Lance. For once, your Fail King reverse curse did not work, and I really hate you for it.
I know. It's not on me, but I feel bad.
I said Oscar P1, Max P2, Alex P3, Fail King Charles. And you know what? I think I was right. For Fail King.
Charles didn't fail King.
But we said last week that if he's anything but P1.
I mean, I think I was more talking about in the sense that like he would consider killing himself if he was anything but P1.
All right.
Like anything but P1 is a failure. I don't know if that makes him fail King.
Whatever. Except you literally broke Cursed Weekend, Charles acting like he was getting old yeller after qualifying P2.
Well, yeah, because he looked like he was going to take himself out back after qualifying in P2 in Monaco.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad place to qualify. It's just like he just had such high expectations for himself and he didn't meet them. And I think he wanted to die. And you know what? Who among us?
Truly, but also I have no idea where to start. Literally nothing happened, but everything happened.
No, nothing happened, but so much happened. So I
So
think
much
we
happened.
should kind of talk about the two-stopper because to me, it just says a lot about the state of the FIA in general. Monaco is such a famous, historical, interconnected with F1 in the history of motorsport in general event. However, in the last 8 years, Monaco has gotten increasingly boring. And a huge part of that is because the cars keep getting bigger, and this is one of the tightest street tracks in the world.
The cars are too fucking big. Do you know what races were interesting? The F2 races.
Yes, that was crazy.
Because
they're
those
tiny
cars are teeny tiny. And so they can actually race, and it's actually interesting.
And so instead of the FIA saying, you know what, that's fair, and not just Monaco, but this is a problem in, I would say,
so many tracks.
At least a third.
2/3.
Conservatively.
2/3. 2/3.
Of the common calendar. Instead of making any sort of concessions to that or, updating regulations for the new set of regs we have, the FIA said, you know what if instead we say you have to pit stop twice? That should fix it.
And it causes everyone to drive at 20 miles an hour the whole race.
It's so fucking boring.
Yuki Tsunoda was 3 minutes behind at one point. 3 minutes!
Yeah.
This is supposed to be the fastest sport on Earth.
Yeah. It was
going...
It is, and it's interesting because one of the reasons I think a lot of us like F1 is because there is the strategic element of it. Are you working as a team together? Are you working as a team supporting one driver? Are you working as 2 drivers who are competing against one another? There are all these factors that are really interesting, and every now and then you get something strategically that is just really fun to watch. Typically that's never manufactured. It's not like the Field of Dreams. You can't build it, they will come to fun strategic decision making.
Was there good strategy this weekend? Yes. Did it make the race exciting?
No. That's not how it works. I think the highs and lows of this are really funny because for me the highs of the strategic element of Monaco is actually the racing bulls.
My beautiful baby boy capybara Isaac Hadjar had the best weekend of anyone this weekend.
Yeah, he fucking nailed it every single time.
P5 in qualifying, P6 overall.
Incredible for a rookie.
Incredible. He's now in the top 10 in the championship. He is the only driver to not have been knocked out in Q1 this year.
He's nailing it, truly.
I picked the correct driver to stand in Daniel Ricciardo's absence.
I think so.
The highs and lows of this weekend, Racing Bulls had decent strategy for once, which was curious.
The thing about the Racing Bulls that is one of the reasons why it's a high for me is that they always try to do some interesting strategy. 9 times out of 10, they fuck themselves over. Like historically, they are very bad at sticking the landing. And this time they nailed it. It was crazy to watch everything just go their way for Isaac. You're marginally out of the hole. Like the hole's a little shallower. You're still in it, but solid execution for a strategy that sacrificed the fuck out of you. I'll give you that.
At least you didn't bitch and complain about it.
Yeah, that we know of.
That we know of. Yeah, exactly.
The real low of this was everything that happened with Mercedes. They had genuinely a horrid weekend.
Before we get into the Mercedes of it all, there's two things I want to talk about. One, Gabriel Bortoleto did the only exciting move of the entire race and then immediately turned into the wall.
Just such a metaphor for like the state of racing in F1.
He did an incredible overtake at like the fucking hairpin or something, like an insane place to overtake, and then immediately went into the wall. Number two, Pierre Gasly loses his brakes, can't stop driving, and he's like, got no front wing, no wheels. And he's like, I don't have any brakes. And it's like, girl, the wheels. You have no wheels.
Pierre's had such a rough couple of weeks.
It's sad when the three exciting moments of the race are the DNFs.
I think this is a really interesting debrief of like what happened with Monaco, because I think the exciting parts for me were watching the Racing Bulls strategy work to perfection. I think that was interesting for me. Lap 1, Lando lockup that ultimately meant nothing.
I thought he was going to be in the wall and I was so happy, and then I was so sad.
And then I think the last lap where Charles was like actively trying to hunt Lando down. Those I think were the moments that I think I was like, okay, interesting. To me, most of Monaco was boring. I will say, I find it really interesting that to you, the DNFs were the most interesting thing, because that is such an indictment of like a race weekend in F1.
It's true.
That is something if I were the FIA, I'd be very concerned about. But they're not, because of course they aren't.
They're stupid. Mercedes. If I had a gun to my head, I would not admit that I forgot that there was a regulation change and you needed to do 2 stops. You would have to waterboard me to get that information out of me.
And I still don't think I would tell you.
And I still don't think I would tell you. I would be so ashamed of myself. I would take that to the grave.
And yet, team principal Toto Wolff,
Torger Wolff,
did the exact opposite. Like, that is just really crazy to me. What did you think everyone was pitting for in Monaco?
It was the whole
Genuinely.
thing. It was the whole thing. The whole thing. The whole weekend was the whole thing.
What did he... Like, was he just not listening when anyone spoke ever the whole weekend? No, I'm seriously really concerned.
No.
You know that movie 50 First Dates?
Yeah. Did he have, like,
Does
amnesia?
Toto have retrograde amnesia? Like, I'm concerned. I'm genuinely very concerned. Because that is like, I feel like Jennifer Lawrence in that Hot Ones episode.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? You forgot.
What do you mean?
It was the whole thing about the entire weekend. It was the whole fucking thing. It is all anyone has talked about.
And you forgot, and then you told the press?
And then you told people. Why would you do that? Oh my God. So, Niki Lauda
Rolling in his grave.
didn't even roll out of his grave. He is actively haunting Toto. He is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? First Lewis, now this. What the fuck is wrong with you?
You know what? Actually, I believe Niki Lauda, if his spirit were to be on the move, I think it is in the Ferrari garage screaming.
I think he can be multiple places at once.
I think Niki Lauda gets that. No, it was really rough. And it's interesting because Mercedes was rumored to like essentially really like fall off a cliff in Barcelona. Like rumors of their downfall in Barcelona have been circulated. And I guess it came a week early in Monaco. Because George had an issue in qualifying. I think Kimi crashed out in qualifying.
He had an engine failure. Both of them did.
Yeah, which is even worse because it's not like they did anything.
No. And all of the Oompa Loompa marshals came and pushed George's car.
They've shit quali positions in fucking Monaco, so it's not like anything's ever going to happen. Toto, and apparently the entire Mercedes team forgot about the 2-stop.
Was a curse befelled upon the garage?
Whose dark witchcraft? I want to know.
Fernando?
Fernando does not give a fuck about the Mercedes.
No, it like misfired. It hit Mercedes. He was aiming for McLaren.
I could see that. Speaking of Fernando, he, I think, very funnily retired. And I didn't even realize he retired because he pulled his car off and was like, fuck you, no one gets a safety car.
I thought that was iconic. This is why I think the DNFs are the most interesting part, is because he is like, nobody's going to benefit from my misery.
He is, for the first time, I think in something like 20 years, which I don't know how crazy of a stat that is because Fernando's career is older than like God. He is pointless. He has 0 points this entire season so far. He's not pointless. I love him. That was mean.
We all love him. And then the hot girl crash outs continue.
Oh, yeah.
You've got George Russell going full fucking Looney Tunes.
Oh, his like sprinkler theory.
He is listing all of the Mario Kart ways he wants to make this race better. He's like, maybe we should do the Lego race. Everyone should have sprinklers. A plane should fly overhead and dump water over the whole grid.
Sorry, you can't. That accent was so bad.
It was really bad. I could do a better George. And then also, he and Alex were fighting. He got a 20-second drive-through penalty. I don't know when the last time we had one of those was.
Well, and the craziest thing, too, is that this is another, like, Mercedes garage. Like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, we'll just eat the penalty. Like, we don't care. As if you're not being piped everywhere throughout the circuit and they can hear what you're saying and give you more penalty time because you're being a cunt.
Oh, my God.
You idiot. Also, George overtook off the track. That is the thing he got penalized for. And he was like, I'll just eat the penalty. And they were like, no.
20-second drive-through penalty. Go.
Eat it harder. Eat this.
And he and Alex were fighting. And then James Vowles and Toto were having a hot girl crash out, Romeo Juliet style.
Like all weekend, the girls were fighting. Okay, so let's count.
So on top of our 5 from MotoGP,
we've got George, we've got Toto,
James Vowles.
I would say Fernando gets one.
Fernando gets one.
Here's my other submission for the crash out count. I think Carlos Sainz deserves to also be counted because he, after the race, was like, this is rigged.
He was like, I was ashamed to have participated in this day.
A rigged race. And everyone's like, okay, King.
I am so sorry for what everyone just saw.
So that's what? Carlos, Charles, George, Toto, Fernando, James
JV.
Vowles. So we're at a total of 11. We still have to do our Barcelona prediction.
I was literally about to say we still have to do our Barcelona predictions. I hate triple headers.
I'm so tired.
All right. Here's where I'm going.
Okay, you go first.
I'm letting the spirit move me. Fail King Fernando Alonso. P3, Carlos Sainz. P2, Oscar Piastri. P1, Max Verstappen.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with Lando Oscar, P1, P2.
Lando P1, Oscar P2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lewis Hamilton, P3.
Interesting.
And a Charles Leclerc, Fail King.
I see it.
Yeah, I love that. We were so intuitive. That was very like...
We've connected with ourselves spiritually. Speaking of hot girl crash outs.
Let's go.
The Indy 500.
It did happen.
Was full of them. Not even in the first lap of the Indy 500. In the pace lap. With a fucking helicopter flying overhead.
Two helicopters.
Two helicopters flying overhead. You had Scott McLaughlin crash and fall to his knees.
It was so sad.
It was so sad.
It was so sad.
Marco Andretti, his tires caught fire and Scott McLaughlin fell to his knees. Can I just say, it was a hate crime to have to listen to Will Buxton commentate the Indy 500.
If I'm being completely honest, Will Buxton's move to IndyCar is the reason I have not sat down to actually watch IndyCar most of this year.
On the day of the Indy 500, on Memorial Day weekend, I should not be hearing a fucking British accent. It was a hate crime.
I really like James Hinchcliffe.
Everyone loves Hinchcliffe, the mayor of Hinchtown.
I love him. I think he's so fucking funny and he's so smart.
He's so smart and he can dance. He was runner-up in Dancing with Stars.
So he's like a quadruple threat. Amazing.
So anyways, Alex Palou wins the Indy 500. We're fast forwarding because it is long.
Yeah, it was a long race.
We can't unpack all of that.
No.
Yeah, it was great that he won, but more importantly, his daughter won, and she's the cutest fucking baby I've ever seen in my entire life.
It is funny because I feel like I rolled up to the Indy 500 and I was like, I'm here, I'm watching, I'm locking in. I really have a horse in this race, TBH, but I was like, I'll just hang out, I'll be here. And I will admit, as someone who doesn't really know most of the people in IndyCar. I do have a soft spot in my heart for Pato O'Ward, though I hate McLaren. I knew it was going to happen for him this year, and that's fine. I will admit I was moved by Alex Palou, a person I know nothing about. I think it was very exciting for him. He clearly was incredibly, incredibly emotional about it.
It's a very emotional thing. Go look at the post I just sent you on Instagram.
Oh, that is a cute baby.
He was giving her the milk.
Yeah, I still don't. The milk thing, I
can't get over that. And then there was crime.
Tell me about the crime.
So, runner-up, Marcus Ericsson, famously a former F1 driver who partnered Charles Leclerc at Sauber, an Indy 500 winner. His car and a few other cars failed their post-race inspection, so he went from second to, I think, like 33rd on the grid.
Holy shit.
And promoted Pato O'Ward to third.
Go for Pato.
Yeah. So a couple different cars failed the post-race inspection. It was Andretti and Prima that got hit with the violations. It was 2 Andretti cars and 1 Prima.
What were the issues?
The Andrettis had illegal modifications to the energy management system covers and cover 2 A-arm mounting points with unapproved spacers and parts. And Prima, driven by Callum Ilott, his front wing assembly didn't meet minimum end plate height and was not in the proper location. So Marcus Ericsson went from second to 31st. Kyle Kirkwood ended up 32nd and Callum Ilott ended up 33rd.
I think it's Ilott. I don't know.
So there was crime, pre and post 500.
I love that there was crime. I love that American racing is really holding it down when it comes to crime. F1 should have more crime, except for McLaren.
And then to finish it up, I want to talk about perhaps the only good moment of the weekend in all of motorsport, which was the Oscar Minor Reno BO 500.
I don't know if I would say that because the pole sitter Shy Dog did not convert. So it was an L for me.
But the Southeast dog, the Slaw dog, Slaw DAWG, did win by a nose. So it was great for me personally. Remember your roots.
Fine. I'll accept it. No, I thought this was so fun. Didn't they do, instead of the national anthem, they did like
the Oscar Minor Reader?
Yes. And instead of putting your heart or your hand on your heart, it was your hand on your stomach. It was so good.
The commentary was so good too. Between this and the Lego F1 car race. Let's be silly goofy.
No, like, let's be silly goofy.
What's our final Hot Girl Crush Out tally?
Oh, how many were there in IndyCar?
So there was
Scott
McLaughlin. Yeah. So that's 1. Marcus Ericsson had
he was crashing out like crazy at the end.
Crazy.
He was like, let me pit. And everyone was like, no.
He's been having a go of it.
So that's 2. I feel like that's a good count. We're at 13.
13.
Wow. The devil's number.
Taylor's number.
Yes.
So that brings us to the grid as ... which for the uninitiated is a moment in our podcast where we select a handful of riders and drivers from across the great wide world of motorsport and categorize them as a person, place, thing, idea, concept. And in honor of George Russell's excellent suggestions for making the Monaco Grand Prix better, we will be doing Mario Kart items that you can launch at your competitors.
Should we just call them Mario Kart attack items?
Yeah. Would you like to go first?
I would. I will be touching on Frankie and Marco Bezzecchi. I think Frankie is the Bob-omb.
Yeah.
Mario Kart Racing Wiki describes the Bob-omb as explodes after a brief pause or when another kart comes near it, which is how Frankie and Alicia Spargaro race.
I agree.
And it's also how Frankie races a lot of other people. Love and light.
Love and light. I agree.
Marco Bezzecchi is the banana, also known as the banana peel, mostly because I thought it was really funny how he was doing his Mamma Mia dance and he slipped and fell on his back.
That was very funny.
It was quite humorous.
I would agree with that. Okay. For me, I will be doing Isaac Hadjar and Fernando Alonso.
2 peers in age and also tenure.
Exactly. Fernando Alonso is
Rookie of the Year, Fernando Alonso.
Rookie of the Year, Fernando Alonso is the spiny blue shell, which if you shoot it, targets the person in the front and hits them, which is very fun. It just gives off his vibes. If he could cast that in the direction of just anyone, I think he would. And then Isaac Hadjar is the little star because he's my little star. and it gets him the star power up and he goes all rainbow and goes really fast and it's really cute.
These stars make the user invincible for a limited amount of time. That feels like Isaac's Monaco experience.
Exactly. So
Well, I think that's it.
I think that's it. That brings us to the end of the podcast. A bit of a long one. Next week we'll finally be close to done with our triple header as we recap the events of Barcelona.
Thank fucking God.
Yeah, come hang out with us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads. We're having a lot of fun. We're a really great time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, all of those mechanisms to help share the pod, comment, rate, review, etc.
Any or all of the above.
And let's keep chatting soon.
Okay, bye.